Hey beer tubers, it's Ryan back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Today I wanted to take a look at a beer that hopefully a lot of you can get, at least you live in the US and have a Trader Joe's nearby. You should be able to find this beer this time of the year. This is Trader Joe's Vintage Ale. This is the 2010 release. This beer is a 9% dark ale brewed with spices and natural flavor added. One nice thing about this beer, it was $4.99 for the 750, which is really hard to beat. Now this Trader Joe's isn't a brewery, they're just a store, a chain here in the US if you're wondering about that. This is actually a beer that was contract brewed for them by Unibroue, who's up in Canada. So I mean they're a great brewery, one of the best Canadian breweries. So I have had some of the past versions, but it's been a long time and I don't quite remember my thoughts on them, but every year's slightly different, so I'll be interested to see what I think about this one, because I mean it's a great bargain, great price for this size of beer, and 9%. I'm going to try to do this trick where you just let out the CO2 really slow. I was unable to do that with the St. Bernardus. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Whoa, look at all that CO2, and I got it gushing on me. Oh well, I did have been letting it warm up, so that usually can lend to gushing on it. But hey, I kept a lot of the CO2 in the bottle as best I could, so hopefully it'll stick around here. So I'm going to clean this up and be right back. Okay, so I'm going to top this off here. This is a ale on lees, as it says on the bottle, which I believe is their term for saying there's yeast in it. It's a bottle conditioned beer, which is on par with the Belgian style. This is a Belgian style strong dark ale, and appearance wise it's pretty much spot on. It's a very dark brown. I don't get a whole lot of light through it at all. Got a nice 2-finger head, medium sized bubbles on that. Good amount of carbonation you expect coming off the bottom of the glass for this beer. It does look very highly carbonated. And it's a very soapy kind of very light brown head on there as well. So the aroma on this one, yeah, it's very reminiscent of some of the other Unibroue beers I've tried. I've written a review for their wit beer on the Beer Geek Nation website, so you can check that out. This does remind me of the Troy Pastal. I'm sure I'm butchering all these French names, and the La Fin du Monde, End of the World, which is a fantastic triple, I believe. Anyway, you can tell that they all have that similar yeast character. I'm getting just a huge yeast presence on this. And it's very much a bready, spicy character on the nose. I mean, as soon as I opened all that CO2 shop, you could smell the yeast character coming off this beer. So with this head, I'm not getting any real malt character coming through. Just really bready, spicy yeast character, a little bit of alcohol, but the alcohol is fairly faint. But this thing is just fizzling away in the glass. So I'm gonna dig into this one. Cheers. So with this beer, there's a ton of carbonation. My head's really dissipated. A lot of that CO2's escaped out of the beer. And so I think it's something you might want to let sit in your glass and warm up and let the CO2 escape before you kind of really dig in. Because up front I was just blasted with carbonation in front of my tongue. Then midway through, got like a really nice kind of dark fruit, really like raisiny character. And then the breadiness really comes in, so it kind of gives you like a raisin bread pudding kind of flavor to the beer. And then the end just kind of fades out to a typical kind of Belgian dryness. You get that kind of yeast spiciness along with the breadiness and a touch of the dark fruit at the end. So I don't know how long Unibroue ages this beer when they ferment it, or even bottle it for that matter, but it tastes like a Belgian strong ale that's on the younger side of things. The flavors are all there, they're not going all over the place. But I can imagine that this beer is going to age really nicely. I've heard great things about this beer as well, and I wanted to get this reviewed. See if I want to pick up some more bottles, because I pick up 2 more bottles for about $10 and try one a year from now, maybe 2 years for the other one, and I hear this just ages really wonderfully. So as I've been sipping away, that carbonation is really starting to fade and get less and less as I take each sip on my tongue. And you kind of start to pick up more of like a caramel, almost like a Coca-Cola caramel kind of character to the malt, along with that breadiness and that spiciness from the yeast. It's not the most complex Belgian strong dark ale I've had. I mean, the St. Bernardus Abbot 12 and Christmas Ale definitely exceed this, and of course the West Letteren 12 and Rochefort 8 and 10. I mean, those are all like great examples of the style. This one's not bad. It doesn't have the complexity and the malt character that those do. Like with with those type of beers, every sip you almost get something different. This one's just kind of fading out real slow over time. And I'm not picking up as many new notes like with those beers. Alright, so I've let this one warm up, and it hasn't really picked up any complexity other than the spice character in there. And I think they do say brewed with spices, so I am picking up that like a coriander. It's got to be a coriander in this beer, because it really reminds me of a Wit beer, a white ale, where you get that kind of really peppery spice note on there. But then you're also getting some yeast spiciness as well. But the malts are they haven't done a whole lot as far as changing or adding flavors complexity. So, I mean, I'm gonna give this a grading of a B. I think it is above average beer. It's very drinkable. It doesn't have the complexity of an A beer, but for the price at $5 for a 750, that's really hard to beat for this. Especially something that should age really nicely as well, so you can pick up a couple of them. So I got to give them credit for brewing a really nice beer for the price. I usually don't like to include price, but in this case, it's a very widely available beer for a great price, so I do recommend picking up a bottle if you like Belgian strong dark ales. It should be very enjoyable whether you drink it now or months from now, even years. So that's Trader Joe's. That's the 2010 vintage ale. Contract brewed by Unibroue up in, I believe, Montreal, Canada. So please comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Cheers.